Meeting to order of the Griggs County Commission on May 14th, 3 p.m. Stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, do a little roll call. John.
Here.
Dale.
Here.
Ron.
Here.
Sean.
Here.
Troy's here. Jamie's here. Everybody hasn't signed in yet. Hi, Jamie.
I just thought it was going on here. Just gonna start putting an X on that sign-up sheet.
Okay. Approval of the agenda.
I'll move that the agenda be approved.
With one slight change corresponding to this. We need to, as we're talking with this, we need to talk about a couple other known certificates of indebtedness that will affect what we do here. But that's included in this meeting. I mean, there's
Yeah, for a special meeting,
probably.
we don't want to expand it to a
No.
special meeting. So
And those other ones aren't due, so we can, we just,
reference, I mean, we reference.
yeah,
talk about it.
yeah, we can talk about it.
Okay, that sounds good.
okay.
So no,
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Second by John. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. John has been looking at this, and I presume Jamie's been looking at this, and I've been looking at this thing a little bit, and Samantha has. Jamie, what do you have?
I have managed to confuse an attorney at the Association of Counties and myself and the Attorney General's office. I guess my recommendation is that we look into this more before we pay it and make sure that we're doing things right. Yesterday it appeared way more straightforward than it was, and it was pretty straightforward until about 3 hours ago today. The certificate of indebtedness appears that it was done wrong. That started out this note. Whether or not anything different now, I'm not sure. A certificate of indebtedness is able to be issued if there's outstanding previously levied taxes. So this certificate cannot be issued for the future. It can only be issued for the present year and the 4 previous years. And actually that statute should be updated because it's only 3 years. So Griggs County can issue a certificate of indebtedness for future taxes. So that certificate was done incorrectly. And that certificate should have been paid that year. It can't be issued for 7 subsequent years. It should have been paid that within that year. What it really is kind of in essence an operating loan or an advance for the county to work on if they hadn't had taxes paid. Now where it puts us with this payment, I'm not exactly sure. I've been on, I have had a couple of hearings today, so I wasn't able to spend as much time on it as I would have liked after I found this information. But I spoke with Leanne Schneider at the Attorney General's office, and she's been trying to help me through this week. And she's kind of at a loss yet too, and she's spoken with Terry Trainer and the attorney for social services. Now, the county normally can't, and the county commission normally can't indebt the county to future payments under 111118. However, we found out that during this session there's been some, it appears that 111118 was repealed and I'm not sure if there's any subsequent statutes that may have any implication. I just found that out this afternoon from Terry Trainer. So I guess my recommendation right now is to talk with the bank and see if we can get a little bit of time to figure out what's going on here. This ended up being a way bigger problem than it appeared to be right away. I don't think we don't want to leave the bank out hanging, but I think ultimately we want to pay it, but we want to make sure that things are done right.
Yeah. Just a little kind of some background information in this thing. It was done under the Certificate of Indebtedness, which is Chapter 2102. That's how they proposed to make this to make these payments, which said it allows you to borrow money up to but not exceeding the amount of unencumbered monies encompassing the year you do it plus four prior years. When you do that, you have to set up a sinking fund associated with that, so that as those monies are collected, they go into a fund and are paid then in towards this debt.
That's if taxes are owed, but they haven't been paid.
Yes, it's only for delinquent taxes, and only for the portion of delinquent taxes that are not associated with a tax lien or are not associated or are unencumbered. And then
So that means not the schools, not the highway department, not any of the budgets.
not any bond payments, no.
So,
So-
it doesn't leave much left anyway, right?
Well, I don't know what the number was because they didn't figure it out when they did this. And the problem is they did 3 of them in 2011, totaling $166,000.
And that should have been paid for
In the year.
in that year.
No, not necessarily, I don't think. So they did it in 2011, and they said that they were going to use 2011, 2010, 2009,
8 and 7.
2008, and 2007 unpaid taxes, okay?
2007, 8, 9, and 10. That's what you said, right?
79, 10, 11.
And 11.
Current year plus 4 previous years, okay?
3, 4, 3.
So
that's right.
then they said, okay, so we've got really, if you have the same people on the delinquent list, there's a group of people that always pay their taxes in the last possible year. So 2007 would make the 12 payment, 2013 would make the 13 payment, 2009 would make the 14 payment, 10, 15, 11, 16. Loan is amortized out. Problem is, if the certificate was dated to mature in 2012,
Yeah.
and there was never a outstanding balance computed in order to project what would go into the sinking fund to support the debt.
No one identified the unpaid taxes at that point.
And there was no way to
Then there was
certify
no
that.
sinking fund set up. So now, when there was no sinking fund set up, those unpaid taxes came into the general fund, and now we're spent, so in essence, we levied tax for this $170,000. This was an additional levy on the county.
Which is not legal.
Now, here's the contradiction. This was set up this way with the certificate of indebtedness to pay for this. It was never in practice paid that way. It was paid out of the emergency fund. So they set it up as to pay it here, but never even used any of this, and then went and used levy taxes again to pay it. So I don't know where this thing stands. This is the same type attitude as naming the building authority, the Griggs County Building Authority, smoke and mirrors. Certificate of indebtedness, except they never followed the procedures to set it up, and they didn't use it.
So you just
They did not use it. Not one dime that was supposed to be set up for delinquent taxes was used to pay any of this debt.
Just funded the emergency fund to pay it.
No, it didn't. Yeah, they funded the emergency fund to pay it, or they funded the social service fund in one instance, or they funded the road department in another instance. And that's the three that we know about, and that was just by happenstance. We don't know what else is out there, so I don't know what to do about this. This is complete.
Is that something you can look up? How many of these certificates of indebtedness are out there?
I don't know how I would do that.
Well, they should be. We might have to.
Well, all you need
Maybe
to
any
do,
loan bill.
Yeah.
all you need to do is call Bank Forward and First Financial, because it would have been one of the 4 local banks.
Okay.
Actually, if you look, if she actually did it, and I don't know if she did it or not, but the certificate of, it says here that the certificate of indebtedness is registered in the bond register.
Oh, okay.
And so if that was done, this one appears like it was done that way. The century code calls for that in 210323. So if you look in the bond register, it should list it should list certificate of indebtedness.
Also,
But that does not say it should. If it doesn't, there's no check to figure out why it isn't there.
The bond, what did you say?
The bond register. That lists the outstanding debt of the county in any bonds that are outstanding, and this is considered basically a bond.
Okay, is that in my office?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I guess my recommendation is to speak with Scott Sayer. I guess he's the one that was the loan officer that issued the loan, and see if we can get a little bit of time to sort this out.
talked to him this morning, he didn't know nothing about it.
No, it is budgeted in the emergency fund, it's budgeted in the emergency fund for this year. Now, that wasn't a line item when we were going through the emergency fund, but it's a line item now.
But I don't know if we can use the emergency money. I've been speaking with Leanne about it, and I don't think it's any. Maybe the first payment would have been an emergency based on the yield or the mold results, but continuing emergency, I don't think that would be kosher to take it out of the emergency fund.
It's an emergency.
The first payment wasn't even an emergency because it was a year after the building was acquired.
Right. Yeah, but it was the mold. But I mean, it's an emergency if I drop an anvil on my toe accidentally. It's not an emergency if I drop it on purpose.
Right.
And if you're budgeting for the emergency, then it can't be an emergency. Well, it can't be. I mean,
I agree with you.
You can't plan an emergency.
you can't plan an emergency because it can't be an emergency.
No.
The end result's to say we still have a broken toe, but
It's in our
can't be that way.
It's in our best interest to figure this out because we don't want to leave a local bank hanging,
No,
and
I-
we don't.
Oh, we can't. I mean, I shouldn't say we can't do that, but we ought not do that. Because from where they sit, they had no way to know that the county officials didn't follow through. They have that certificate of indebtedness in their loan file. They had it reviewed by an attorney. The loan was approved. The county commissioners made a motion, seconded it, and passed it, and signed the promissory note.
I agree.
But that doesn't solve our conundrum. Do you want me to call Scott and ask for a 60-day extension?
I think that's the best because we're in a situation where we don't want to continue going down the same road and continue doing this incorrectly and end up in even a worse situation.
Just so we all know, in 2015, we've already made a payment to Farmers and Merchants Bank of North Dakota for the $46,000 remodel job. There's only one payment left. So if we find a resolve, we as in you, then we might have to do the same thing retroactively if it's possible on that last one.
Well, and one of the suggestions from the Attorney General's office, I don't like this suggestion, is what situation will people be less upset with if you pay the bill or don't pay the bill? And I don't think that's a very good suggestion right now if we don't know the implications of this whole situation right now. So my thought would be to ask for an extension so we can get this ironed out to make sure the banks get paid, make sure they get paid correctly, and limit the county's liability for whatever was done wrong previously.
Yeah, I don't know where. All I know is I'm not gonna follow the same course of action as previous commissioners yet. So if it involves having to do the same thing they did, which we can't come up with an explanation of if it was done correctly or not, I certainly can't follow that same path. So I don't know what the course of action is.
And there may not be a solution to this. I don't know. We haven't found a solution to this. That's why I'm suggesting that. But if we get a little bit more time to figure this out, it ended up being a way more complicated issue than everyone ever thought it would be.
That's really unprofessional of the Attorney General's office to say, we don't know if it's legal or not, so which would be the most popular?
Well,
How could they
You know,
possibly
and-
make a statement like that?
and that statement is based on knowing that note is due tomorrow, and that it's kind of a thing that got brought up right away. I guess I kind of called that situation right away and said that's not the way to do it, but.
Unfortunately, we're asking the bureaucracy to come up with a solution when
Bureaucracy
the solution
created
should
the
be-
problem.
Yeah, and the solution should be with the people that are gonna ultimately have to pay it, which is the taxpayers. The bureaucracy solution is always put the debt on the taxpayers and like, well, we made a mistake and we can't hold anybody responsible. They were just doing their job as county commissioners and there's no responsibility there. So under that, if you use that premise for anything, then you can just well vote and spend money any way you want because you're never held responsible for it. And if you are held responsible for it, the bureaucracy that's supposed to be penalizing you for your inactions comes and defends you for your inactions. It's a goddamn mess.
Can put that in minutes.
Yeah, you can, for emphasis, underline. But how are we ever supposed, I assume that if I was to do something like this, I would be held responsible. Why shouldn't everybody be held responsible? Because the taxpayers put their trust in all of us in order to look after their finances. How can you then turn around and say, I'm going to defend the previous commissioners rather than defend the taxpayers?
I wholeheartedly agree with you, John. I got this information about 25 to 1, so for me to try to figure it out today, and I had another hearing in between there, so this is, like I said, a situation that we need some time to figure out before we make a move.
So, go ahead.
Since we paid this one in 2014, whatever we decide here, does that have to be fixed in 2014 or?
I think that's water over the bridge, over the dam, under the bridge.
It was never presented to us in this fashion. It just was presented as I don't know how it was presented.
The voucher.
But it was presented to the holding company. It was the same. That's the only thing that, I must not have figured that out, this one raised both red flags prior to the meeting this time, that's the only. Anyway, I'll just throw this out there for a possible resolution. Do you know what our uncollected taxes are today?
I have a folder downstairs.
We could set up a certificate of indebtedness correctly in order to resolve our present issue, I think.
Yes, we could. But the minute we did that, then we enabled the spending of the money that's spent so far to be levied against the citizens. And then we said that was fine. You guys, that was fine to go ahead and do that. And you got by with leveling tax. They set this thing up for the purpose of not adding to the budget. But then they ignored it
And
added to the budget.
I know.
Is that by design or is that by incompetence? Well, Can it be incompetence if they had the competence to set it up? How can you be not competent enough to then follow it? So it has to be by design. They had to set it up on this with the notion that they weren't going to follow it.
Precedent has been set.
With that said, it is where we are.
It is where we are.
So,
I think I think that we have 5 different issues. I think we need forensic audit focusing on the issues that we have and what we find after that. There's a pattern here. There's a pattern starting to take hold here of total disregard for the taxpayer and using funds way, way, way past what they were the ability to do. Somebody's got to be held accountable for that, in my estimation, or what trust are the taxpayers are going to have? Yep. I'll stand and yell in the street corner.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying, we only have one agenda item, so we can't.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Well, that's related, isn't it?
Well, I think what you're saying is that you don't want to make the payment unless you know what the hell's going on there.
Yeah, I'm saying I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do to fix this. All I know is what not to do to fix this.
Okay.
So we didn't get much closer. There's no resolution, by the way, in the minutes or nothing. It's just it's 2 lines in the minutes.
I think all we can do is, hope for an extension and we'll try to figure this out.
They just made a motion to get, this one is to get a legal opinion for abstract title and warranty deed.
Yeah, here's the one that, read that.
Motion by Robert Johnson, second by Ron Halverson, all carried, no nays to sign a certificate of indebtedness for 7 years at 5% in Citizen State Bank for $70,000 with approval. Assistant State's Attorney Maria Spar to purchase for Citizen State Bank. There's no reference of how the certificate of indebtedness was funded or anything.
Or to be repaid or anything.
No, and those recordings are gone.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, you never
Or in
know.
private hands.
Missing for convenience can also be appearance for convenience too, you know. That's already happened once or twice.
Ta-da!
Well, to stay on the agenda, I guess my recommendation is to call Scott and see if we can get an extension. I guess if we have money sitting in the bank, they do have, there's a set-up provision in the note too.
Yeah, they could just attach the funds and pay themselves and pay the county money.
So I think it's best to beg for forgiveness, because if we don't,
Well, they're owed money.
yeah, and we can't leave them hanging. I completely agree, but we need
So we need
more
to
time
do
to
it
figure it
right.
out. And there's no doubt that they're owed the money, but we just need to do it correctly so we don't continue down the same road.
I don't know. Is that necessarily the case? If I take stolen money and I go buy a car at VW Motors and they come and seize the car because it was bought with stolen money, no one makes VW Motors whole. It's buyer beware.
I'm not a lawyer. How long will it take to find a solution to this?
Or we're working on it right now. I've got a bunch of stuff to read from the Attorney General's office. I would say 30 days would be plenty, or
Okay.
2 weeks, or I don't know. 30 days I think would be safest.
Are we gonna get an Attorney General's opinion? That would make me feel better.
certainly can ask for that with this one. I think this one is one that probably is entitled to an Attorney General's opinion.
Well, we got 3 of them that we know about on the books, so this isn't the last time we're gonna talk about it.
No, and it's going to be an issue every time.
Okay.
There's 3 more certificates of indebtedness, or 2 more,
2 more that we know about.
All in 2011.
for the purpose of,
One's for remodeling this building and the other one's for a truck.
Purchasing the social service building, remodeling the social service building, and buying a dump truck with a snowplow in the front. And there's one in there that had been paid off that was in like 2002 in the loan file I was looking at. And that was the water district. But that one might have been done properly.
2011 corresponds to the year that this project was started, and keep in mind, this money is no longer budgeted money, so there's no, the $170,000 done this way frees up $170,000 that you don't have to levy for raised taxes.
Yeah.
So it's coincidental, I know that, but.
Samantha, can I get a copy of the same kind of information that you got us before on,
there's something
on
in
the
it.
other 2 as well?
Say that again, I'm
Can
sorry.
I get the same information that you sent on this one, on those other 2 that were taken from 2011 too? Is the information that you emailed everybody?
I can try and get all that,
Yeah,
yeah.
if I could get that from you.
Oh, did you get that from the bank?
I got all this from the bank, yeah.
Where are the notes stored?
These,
There should be a customer copy of the note.
Yeah, there should be a file for the notes to be in, I would
Ten
think.
more, yeah. $12,000 in 2011.
You don't have a file?
we looked through our files and found different things, but we could not find this one.
Okay.
It could be still in there because we find it.
Would you get the copy from the bank? Or?
Yep, I went to the bank and asked.
She knows someone over there.
You say you don't have a file of certificates of indebtedness, is that what you said?
I didn't find one on this
No.
one, is what I was looking for all the information on this loan, and I couldn't find anything, so I went straight to the bank and asked for information.
Right, again, I think it'll be under the bond registry.
Yeah, I'll look for that when I
All
get
should be
down.
for them.
Should be.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and if they're not, then that's not a good deal either.
Well, if they're not there, I can get them.
No, but I mean, if they're not in the bond registry, not a good situation for the county to be in.
No, that's right.
But I mean, there wasn't a safety fund set up with them. I mean, so none of it was done correctly. They just used the name. I mean, it's.
Actually, it should be in the county financial disclosure on Ron's website.
Well, that's if you follow 210323. It's not only the bond registry for the recording part of it. It's very extensive. So yeah, it affects the county's financial statement. It should be on there.
Right.
Yeah.
It should be on Harold's audit too.
Absolutely. It affects this certificate of indebtedness affects the county the same as if we had a bond issued. Identical. It said the recording requirements are the same. They even use the century code. The bond recording century code is referenced for the recording requirements for the indebtedness, certificate of indebtedness. So I mean, it isn't something this is just 3 lines in the minutes of the meeting that's done. It's a pretty complex deal.
Yeah, I don't.
And if you actually do it correctly, they should have asked, but they give them the ability. It says the county auditor, upon request of the officers of the political subdivision, shall certify to them the amount of uncollected taxes remaining upon the tax to the credit of the political subdivision on the last day of the preceding months and annually. Such certify each information to the clerk of court of each township. And so it goes on and on and on. But it starts out, it only has to be done upon request by the political subdivision, which makes absolutely 0 sense.
So they would have you request this information every year to see if they have the money.
So if you don't have to request a cover up, you don't request a cover up. Well, that's what it says.
Well, how does the DCI not get involved in something like this?
Well, I don't even. I guess I've only had this for a couple hours of trying to figure.
I don't
out
think it's
what to do.
criminal. I think you could.
Well, not necessarily, because if you.
If it is, it's a Class A misdemeanor.
Yeah, well, that's criminal.
Yeah, I
know.
think it's criminal. I think it's.
We better hold on. I think we're going way
Yeah,
beyond
no,
the scope.
I think that this one is chalked up as just ineptitude.
Oh, I forgot my T-shirt. You got your T-shirt.
I don't have the t-shirt. I don't know what t-shirt you're talking about.
No, I mean, again, I don't think there's any conscious effort to deceive. I think it just
You never seen those T-shirts?
didn't do it.
Show them your T-shirt.
They just didn't do it.
Hate to get us off on that.
Ineptocracy.
Got it?
Not yet. Okay. I'm a slow reader.
I'm done reading the back already.
Yeah, it is good.
So, I mean, I think it's just strictly they're gonna plead that they screwed up, and there's no doubt about that, so.
Okay.
But isn't ignorance of the law not supposed to be a defense?
Only in the private industry, only in the private sector. It is expected in the public sector.
It's just a normal situation, right?
Right?
Another thing I found out is that it's not supposed to go to the Citizen State Bank holding company. It's just supposed to go to Citizen State Bank at the same address as this, and that's what this vendor number is. But for some reason, they put holding company on the voucher.
I'm glad they did. Otherwise, it never would have tipped either Troy or I to it.
But I did find that out, that it's not supposed to go to the building
Okay.
or the holding company. So.
Should we ask Mr. Sayer for a 30-day extension?
60, I thought.
Would I go to him or would I go to?
Was there any way we can
Sheridan?
call him right now and talk to him?
Troy or I can talk to him. Whichever one you want. Troy's the banker, you can talk to him.
Or I can talk to him, whatever. I guess I just.
It won't be fully resolved if we're asking for an attorney general's opinion.
Well, maybe we should ask for 60 days.
Well, even 60 days wouldn't be enough. But maybe we can make a decision without.
At least we
attorney
can.
general.
I can have some guidance at least figured out by then for us to go.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the attorney general.
They've actually been turning around opinions rather quickly too. Yeah, maybe not something like this, but other open meetings opinions.
Well, the other side of the issue, it's gonna get paid. So,
Yeah, we just have to figure out the correct way to pay it right now.
Yeah, so either 30 or 60 days should give us enough information to pay it somehow. With certain caveats or restrictions on it.
My suggestion to you guys is 60 days, and then we won't get in trouble for going off the agenda.
I make a motion, we request 60-day extension on this note.
It's been moved by Dale to request a 60-day extension on the note to Citizen State Bank. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second the motion.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale? Ron? John?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion been made to adjourn. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Meeting adjourned. Next meeting will be at 1 p.m. on the 22nd of May,
What's our time?
3:36.
Thank you.